Welcome back, you guys. We are so excited to have worship going again. If you guys want to join us in worship, you can get up on your feet and dance if you want, but it's all up to you. But we are going to get started.
feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. So here it is, my alabaster heart. I'm keeping nothing back from who you are. No hidden treasure veiled by key or lock. Your lifetime worth of worship, and it's only just the start. Here it is, my every waking day. The minutes, hours, the years of endless praise. For you're worthy far beyond all I could say. There's a lifetime worth of worship and the nuance of your name. So let it rise like incense, my whole life, a fragrance every ounce. Here broken at your feet. Every breath an offering, my heart cries, these lungs sing over you, my worthy King of Kings.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for worshiping with us. And now we're going to have Bryce.
All right. Yeah. All right, let's give it up for hopefully you guys enjoyed that today. I wanted to be able to do some more worship with you guys once again, and we wanted to get live stream going, and so this is where our way of going. So what's going to happen right now is we are going to be playing our videos for this week or whatever, and so stay tuned on this one, and right after that, we are going to be opening up the chat for the Zoom call. So if you need the link for that one, go to our Instagram page and look in our story, and we will have that linked for you with the password and the code in order to get into the Zoom call. And so, yeah, again, find us on Salt and Light Youth, and you should be able to find that there. And so, TJ, if you want to queue up the video, and we're going to go ahead with that.
All right, so I grew up an only child, and if you're an only child, then you know that means being an only child, it's learning ways to entertain yourself without depending on anybody else. So as a kid, I learned how to have fun playing video games by myself, playing basketball by myself, playing with action figures by myself.
Man, when I say it like that, it sounds lonely.
But as masterful as I became at enjoying solo activities, something that never appealed to me is puzzles. I don't like puzzles. It's not a good time to me.
Hey, I have an idea for fun. Let's take 1,000 tiny pieces of cardboard and pour them out on the ground and then spend 6 hours assembling them into a square. No thanks.
But I mean, I guess I do understand why puzzles are generally popular. As human beings, we like it when things match up. Like, have you ever seen those videos that show average, everyday things that are just visually satisfying? Like putting two halves of a broken Pop-Tart together and they fit perfectly. Or folding a piece of paper in half and all of the edges line up just right. We just like seeing things matched up, completed, solved. But that's true of more than just little puzzles or Pop-Tarts. We like to see things match up when it comes to things that really matter in life too. For instance, we like it when good things happen to good people and when bad things happen to bad people. And there's just something about it that's just satisfying. Everything matches up, everything makes sense, everyone gets what they deserve. But this desire to see things match up can lead us toward anger and confusion, particularly with God, because you and I both know that in this life, good things don't always happen to good people, and bad things don't always happen to bad people. Like, as much as we may want it to be that way, it's just not the way it seems to work in our world. Awful things happen to people you love, to people you know, to you. Despite our best intentions to generally be good people, we experience suffering. Now, my suffering might not be the same as yours, and your suffering might not be the same as the person next to you, but we all either have or will experience suffering in this lifetime.
I don't think this is gonna be a fun message.
And that can easily lead you to be angry with God. Because it only makes sense that God, the supreme being over all the universe, has the power to make things that are bad happen only to bad people, and only good things happen to good people, and yet for some reason it doesn't work like that. So we have some work to do here, because God is loving and powerful, and yet things don't match up the way we want them to. And if we're going to be people who really trust God, then we've got to find a way to reconcile these two realities. Suffering is like a scrambled pile of puzzle pieces that we're all going to try to solve at one point or another in life. If it hasn't happened to you yet, there will come a day where you will feel personally offended, angry, and hurt that bad things have happened to good people in your life. And as human beings, it's only natural that we're going to try to solve the puzzle of suffering in an attempt to find out why these things are happening to us. When suffering happens, it's only natural that you're going to ask the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, one of the things that you learn on early on in puzzle solving is that it's always wise to try to start with the corner pieces. If you start with the middle pieces in the puzzle, it's a lot more challenging to match everything together. But when you start a puzzle with the corner pieces, it's a lot easier to solve from the edges and work your way toward the middle of the puzzle.
You know, I was gonna bring out an actual puzzle and show you how starting with the corner pieces helps to solve the puzzle quicker, but that would have required me to actually solve a dumb puzzle. And I'm not solving no dang puzzle because, as previously established, puzzles are dumb.
So in this puzzle of life, the gospel is the ultimate corner piece. It is the best place to start whenever we're trying to solve any puzzle, answer any question, or navigate any situation. So over the course of the series, our hope is to lay down 4 gospel-saturated corner pieces and go from there as we try to figure out the scrambled pile of puzzle pieces that we call suffering. And here's what I can tell you. The series is not going to give you all of the answers for why your individual story of suffering is happening to you or has happened to you in the past. Our purpose in this series isn't to completely solve every puzzle for every person in this room. But what the series will do is give you some corner pieces to your puzzle so you can at least have somewhere to start from. So why do bad things happen to good people? Actually, the corner piece we want to lay down today requires us to attack the very question itself. So let's throw on our gospel shades and see if we can't discover how the gospel helps us navigate suffering. So back in the day, years after the resurrection of Jesus, Paul wrote a letter to a group of Christians living in Rome. And he hadn't met most of them personally, but he wanted to establish a relationship with the Roman Christians and encourage them in their walk with Jesus. And seeing as Rome was the capital of the largest empire in the world, it makes sense that Paul, the leader of the fastest spreading movement in the world, would want followers of Jesus in Rome to be strong in their faith. And in the beginning of his letter, Paul breaks down the gospel of Jesus Christ in a very clear way, and he spends a lot of time setting up why Jesus needed to come in the first place. Now, first, he explains why the Gentiles, or non-Jewish people of the world, needed Jesus. The short of it? They were rebellious sinners. He then turns his attention to the Jewish folks in the room to let them know why they also needed Jesus. The short of it? They were rebellious sinners, and they knew better. And after throwing everybody under the bus, Paul shares a reality of the gospel that matters for us today as we ask the question, why do bad things happen to good people? We're in Romans 3, starting in verse 9.
Well, then, should we conclude that we Jews are better than others?
Should we conclude that Jews are the good people? I mean, that's what they thought. Back in the day, being a Jew naturally meant you felt like you were the good people. You felt like since you were the people that had a connection with God for centuries, since you had the law as a Jew, since the Jews had the temple and the Jews had the tabernacle, since the Messiah, Jesus, was born from the Jewish race, that meant that they were the good people. And like many of us, the Jews of that day thought that the world was divided into good people and bad people in their minds. The Gentiles were the bad people, and they, the Jews, they were the good people.
We back!
Well then, should we conclude that we Jews are better than others? No, not at all. For we have already shown that all people, whether Jews or Gentiles, are under the power of sin. As the scriptures say, no one is righteous, not even one. No one is truly wise. No one is seeking God. All have turned away. All have become useless. No one does good, not a single one.
Aw, what a fun little scripture verse, am I right? Real feel-good vibes coming from Paul right about now. Hey, try throwing up a cute selfie on Instagram with that Bible verse as the caption.
All have become useless. No one does good. Not a single one.
But you know what's so significant about this passage? Paul is quoting King David from way back in the Old Testament. So this is something that David originally spoke as an undeniable truth back in the Old Testament days. Now, here's why that's significant. This idea that no one is good was true back in the Old Testament period. It's true now in the New Testament period. It's true of the Jewish people. It's true of the non-Jewish people. It doesn't matter when you lived, what your race is, or where you're from. The undeniable gospel reality is that no one is good. Everybody has sinned. Everybody messes up. Everybody falls short. Every human being's natural inclination is open rebellion against the God of the universe. And if you don't believe me, consider this. You don't have to teach a toddler to lie. You don't have to teach a baby to hit. You don't have to teach selfishness to small children. And that's because all of us are born with a natural inclination toward open rebellion against the God of the universe.
I was right. It's not a very fun message. It's not fun at all.
I know that this isn't a particularly fluffy or fun message, but it's an important one in terms of establishing your worldview. Sin is a big deal and it affects every human on the planet from birth. We want people to be separated into light and darkness, heroes and villains, good people and bad people. But the reality is, there are no good people. Not in the truest sense, anyway. And if that feels hopeless, it should. In and of ourselves, it is hopeless. That's exactly the point that Paul is making. Paul's point in Romans chapter 3 is that we are hopeless without Christ. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to minimize your story of suffering. And I don't want to make it sound like people aren't capable of doing good things. That's not what I'm saying. And it's definitely not what Paul or King David were saying either. You probably know some people who have done amazing things and had bad things happen to them, and it doesn't feel like they deserve it. And I just want you to know, I get that. I do. But in the ultimate sense, people are not naturally good. And if you're going to be someone who aligns your heart with the heart of the God of the universe and navigates the puzzle of suffering well, it's important that you recognize that. Here's the first gospel corner piece for this series. There are no good people. So we should be careful about asking the question,
Why do bad things happen to good people?
when we pose the question that way, we unintentionally set ourselves up as the good guys and God as the bad guy for letting these things happen. But the truth of the matter is, and I know this is hard to swallow, God isn't the bad guy. We're the bad guys. There are no good people. And while that doesn't solve the entire puzzle of why suffering happens, seeing through that gospel lens does help us approach God with the right attitude as we try to navigate betrayal and heartache and sickness and death. Suffering is like a scrambled pile of puzzle pieces. It's really hard to make sense of it, but it doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. Our story doesn't have to work the way it does in superhero movies. In fact, it doesn't work that way. Humans aren't separated into heroes and villains. Bad things happen to all people because sin is in all people. And when we allow the gospel story to influence the way we see humanity, we can have peace in our relationship with God, even in the midst of suffering. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys, there we go. So what we're going to be doing right now is, if you're not already heading over there, head over to the Zoom call. We will have that. If you do not have access to Instagram to be able to see the code and password, please email me at bryce@devotedministries.ca, and I will make sure that I send you the code and everything like that going forward. But in the meantime, that's all that's going to be going on. Join us on Zoom as we be able to discuss and chat about what was just talked about in this message right now. So we're looking forward to that. Pastor Tim will also be joining us this week for the first time for the junior youth. And so we're looking forward to seeing you guys all there. So yeah, we're just going to have that going, heading towards there. Looking forward to chatting with you guys in just a few. All right, you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. See you on Zoom.